Greetings and regards to all of you, dear friends. This image you are observing is a karst conduit that has brought water to the surface of the earth, and tonight I want to talk about karstified limestones and a type of deposit called MVT and the relationships that may exist between these two based on my own experiences. If you are interested, you can continue to view this post. I am Hossein Moghaddasi, and perhaps in the late 2010s, late 80s, I started working on limestones that were karstified. This photo was also taken by me from the area between Golpayegan and Aligudars. As you can see, it is a very typical image, and as you can see, water from these conduits, which you observe, which are called karst conduits, in these 2 points has reached the surface, and we have a karst spring. Limestones, as you may know, are very brittle and fragile in comparison with some other formations by considering thermodynamical situations that have a plastic state. So they show mostly brittle and fragile state. Now you may have a question for water exploration in limestones. What factors should we consider? In addition to that, I want to talk more generally and commonly and about a famous type called the Mississippi Valley type, or MVT. See, the dominant process of karstification, or our karstification, is governed by the general tectonics that prevail in our region in such a way that very often our tensile zones cause a conduit to open, and as I said, limestone is very fragile, and this conduit causes karst dissolution to occur in it, and this conduit, in common parlance, becomes wider and larger, and karst caves take shape in it. That is, the spark with that tectonic and faulting event occurs. Well, naturally, these processes, you can see a clear example of it now in this picture, that this of course does not happen very often. Here it was very typical that even on the surface it is so beautifully visible. Now, in addition to this issue, there is also the topic of engineering geology, that karsts often become problematic, and in many dams, water leakage is due to the development of karst processes. But in addition to this, I also want to look at the issue from a mining perspective. We have a type of deposit called Mississippi Valley type, or MVT. How are these? These are from the replacement of hydrothermal veins that contain lead and zinc in carbonate types, especially dolomite or dolostone they form. As you can see, they are also carbonate types. I remember in the mid-2010s, I had visits to mines in the area between Malaya or Isfahan, and especially from Khomein to Najafabad, and many of these mines follow the same processes that are in the karstification of water. What does that mean? It means that in our tensile zones, veins are injected, even though they may initially be narrow, but then you see in a tensile zone that has opened, this opening has caused the thickness of the ore body to increase. So you see again the same general tectonics of ours in general have a great impact. And in compressive zones, it causes the vein to close and not extend. It is that exploration in Mississippi Valley type deposits is very complex and requires, in my opinion, a professional tectonicist first, and secondly, I, as a geophysicist, from the perspective of geophysics, who looks at the issue, that geophysicist who is doing data acquisition in these MVT deposits must pay very close attention to linear trends, meaning, for example, in magnetometry, analytical signal or derivatives are very important, or electrical methods. These are very much in need of experience, that how even the trend of expansion in our survey, all of these affect the data we collect. Then, even for example in these, we have a topic called paleokarst. That is, sometimes a karst has formed as a result of dissolution. Then, for example, you see that this injection of mineral materials inside these has also occurred. It is that very interesting and sweet relationships exist between the topic of karst from the perspective of groundwater and the Mississippi Valley type deposit, which, well, have valuable reserves. And in my opinion, they are one of the reserves that are very hidden, and we are very rich, especially in the same valley, in this axis of Malaya Isfahan, which has numerous deposits identified from it. But well, I say because their exploration is complex, It needs to be explored with more accuracy, and these points should be observed in it. I hope that I have been able to convey the message to you and be useful and beneficial for you, dear ones. If you have any comments or perhaps a point, I will very much use and learn. Successful be you.